The night sky over Nova Eden City looked calm, but inside the tall metal towers and glowing neon streets, danger always moved in silence. No one knew this better than Raiden Hale, a simple delivery runner who worked for Starline Couriers, the fastest delivery service in the galaxy. He was not a hero. He was not a soldier. He was just a guy with a backpack, a hover bike, and enough bills to keep him working day and night. Tonight, however, something felt wrong. Raiden stood in front of a huge mirror glass castle floating above the city, a castle that only appeared once every 10 years. It belonged to the vampire royal house of Lunaris, one of the oldest alien families in the galaxy. They were powerful, feared, and famous for their strict rules. Raiden didn't want anything to do with them. But he had a job to finish. A package to deliver. A wedding to interrupt. And the moment he stepped onto the shining bridge leading to the castle gates, he felt eyes watching him. It was supposed to be a simple job. One drop off. 5 minutes inside. Leave immediately. But when he reached the main hall, filled with silver banners, floating candles, and hundreds of alien nobles, everything changed. The air grew cold. The music stopped. And from the center of the hall, a girl with glowing ruby eyes slowly turned toward him. She was beautiful. Dangerous. And definitely not human. The vampire princess. She stared at him like she already knew his name. And then she whispered across the room, her voice so soft only he heard. "Dance with me." Raiden froze. He didn't come here to dance. He came to survive. But the princess was already walking toward him. And this is where his trouble began. Raiden Hale had delivered packages to strange places before, floating fortresses, underwater labs, even a giant robot museum. But he had never been inside a vampire royal castle. He held the small silver box tight against his chest as he followed a servant through long glowing hallways. "This package is for the Royal Wedding Council," Raiden said, trying to sound confident. "Yes," the servant answered without emotion. "You will give it directly to them." Raiden nodded. "Great. Quick in, quick out." But the castle was huge, too huge. The walls were covered with dark moving paintings. The lights flickered like they were alive. He heard whispers from empty rooms, footsteps behind him, doors closing on their own. "This place is haunted," he muttered. The servant did not laugh. "Haunted? No. Watched? Always." That didn't make Raiden feel better. Finally, they entered the grand hall, where the royal wedding was taking place. The hall looked like a dream mixed with a nightmare, beautiful silver decorations, but with shadows that moved unnaturally. Hundreds of alien nobles watched Raiden like he was an insect that somehow wandered into a palace. He tried not to panic. But then he saw her. Princess Serafina Lunaris, standing under a moon-shaped chandelier. Her long white hair moved like it was underwater. Her skin glowed faintly. Her eyes, deep red, were sharp enough to cut through steel. Everyone admired her. Everyone feared her. Raiden just gulped loudly. The servant whispered, "Give the box to the council and leave quickly. Do not look into the princess's eyes." "Why?" Raiden asked. "She can read your memories." Raiden nearly dropped the package. "Great. Fantastic. No pressure." He headed toward the wedding council, a group of old vampires sitting like statues at the end of the hall. But halfway there, Raiden felt something strange. The air twisted around him. The hall grew quiet. Music died. He turned and saw the princess staring directly at him. Her gaze locked onto him like she had been waiting. Raiden felt a chill run all the way up his spine. Then she smiled. And in that moment, every vampire in the room stepped back. As if they feared her smile. Raiden whispered to himself, "Oh no, why me?" The princess began walking toward him, her long dress gliding across the floor without making a sound. Raiden tried to move out of the way, but she stopped right in front of him. She looked at the package in his hands, then at his face. "You are not from our house," she said softly. "No. I mean, yes. I mean, I'm just a delivery guy. Her eyes glowed brighter. I know. Raiden felt his heart speed up. He had always been good with people, but this was not people. This was a vampire princess whose family could tear him apart in seconds. He held the box out to her. Package? She did not take it. Instead, she grabbed his wrist. Her touch was ice-cold and strong. Raiden gasped. Princess, please, I really need to hand this over and leave. But she leaned in close, her voice a whisper that only he could hear. Dance with me. Raiden froze like a statue. No, he whispered. No, no, no. I can't dance. You can, she said. With me. The hall erupted with shocked whispers. The royal guard stepped forward. The wedding council narrowed their glowing eyes. One of the elders shouted, Princess Seraphina, he is human. He is not permitted. But she ignored everyone. She pulled Raiden gently but firmly toward the center of the hall. Raiden felt his legs shaking. Princess, this is crazy. I'm not part of your wedding. Her eyes softened for a moment. Good. Because I do not want this wedding. Raiden blinked. What? She placed his hand on her waist. Just follow my steps. The music changed automatically, slow, dark, enchanting. A spell? Perhaps. Raiden didn't know. But suddenly he was moving, his feet following her lead. He didn't know how he was dancing, but somehow he was. They spun across the hall. Every vampire watched in complete silence. Raiden whispered, People are staring at us. They should, she replied. This is the first real choice I have made in years. Raiden didn't understand, but he could hear pain in her voice. Are you trapped? He asked quietly. Seraphina nodded. This wedding is not love. It is a political bond. I will become a weapon for the royal houses. Raiden felt his chest tighten. That's terrible. She looked into his eyes. And you are free. You walk the galaxy. You choose your path. Raiden laughed nervously. I choose cheap food and long work hours. But they are your choices. For a moment, she looked almost human, sad, lonely. He whispered, Why me? She whispered back, Because you are not afraid of me. Raiden wanted to say he was afraid, very afraid, but something in her expression stopped him. She was powerful, yes. Dangerous, yes. But she also seemed desperate. Suddenly, the hall doors slammed open. A tall armored vampire, the groom, stormed in. His eyes burned with anger. What is the meaning of this? Princess! Unhand that human! Seraphina did not move. Raiden felt panic rising. Princess, maybe we should. She tightened her grip. Stay. The groom pointed at Raiden. Guards! Take him away. The guards moved forward. Raiden raised his hands. Hey, I'm just a delivery guy. But the princess stepped in front of him like a shield. If you touch him, she said, her voice turning sharp and royal, I will cancel this wedding. Gasps filled the hall. The groom snarled. You dare choose a human over a royal alliance? Seraphina turned to Raiden. Do you wish to leave this castle alive? Yes. Raiden said instantly. Then trust me. Before Raiden could answer, Seraphina grabbed his hand again. And the entire hall dimmed. The lights flickered. Shadows gathered around her like a storm. She whispered, Close your eyes, Raiden. He obeyed. Wind rushed around him. Darkness wrapped around them. Raiden felt the floor disappear. And then they vanished from the grand hall. Raiden opened his eyes slowly. He was no longer inside the castle. They stood on the rooftop of a tall building far below the floating palace. The city lights glowed around them. Raiden stumbled back, dizzy. Did we teleport? Seraphina smiled softly. Shadow step. A gift of my bloodline. Raiden's legs shook. Please warn me next time. She laughed gently. It was the first real laugh he heard from her. Raiden finally caught his breath. So, what now? The princess looked up at the floating castle, her eyes sad but free. I do not know, she said. For the first time, my future is not decided by others. Raiden thought for a moment. Do you want help? She looked at him, surprised. You would help a vampire princess? Raiden shrugged. You saved my life. And you looked like you needed a friend. She stepped closer, her eyes warm. I have never had a friend. Raiden smiled. Then maybe I can be your first. A soft wind passed between them. For a moment, everything felt